So now we hand the mic to Reverend Glenn Stocking.
All right. Well, officially, good morning this
Good
time to
morning.
everyone. And so happy to be here again. We have a new year, hopefully a new grasp on spirit. And a lot of our centers traditionally use the month of January to start over again with the teaching and hit the first 4 chapters of the textbook. And it's kind of the same old grind. I kind of began to think when I attended regularly at one center, I said, well, why would I bother coming in January if all I'm going to hear is the same thing over and over again? So as part of my ministry, I've made it a point to shake things up a little bit and not do that. However, love is the core of our teaching, and that's why we have this month, Puppy Love. And no, it's not a senior's lament for letting Tawney W get away decades ago. And in fact, I say Tawney W because I'm not even 100% sure what her last name was. That's how long ago it was. And, I don't even know if she knew her family was moving that summer. I just know that when she didn't come back to class in September, it was a horrible shock for me and the other boys in our 4th grade class that Connie wasn't there anymore, and we didn't know why or where she had gone. No, I'm not talking about that kind of puppy love. I'm talking here about the real deal. You see, I've been spending a fair amount of time in the presence of puppies lately, enjoying the therapeutic value of their ceaseless energy, fearless play, and the ability to sleep on an industrial scale. These animals are incredible. Both when we were dog sitting for a friend and over Christmas, I had the fun of enjoying my in-laws' 3 dogs and 2 cats, watching them play with our dog. And they just never stop until they did. And then they just collapsed on the floor and sleep through anything. And then get up and start all over again playing. And if you've ever wondered what life would be like had we not indulged ourselves the fruit from the tree of knowledge that fateful day back in the garden, just look at the life of a puppy with a good home. I have known for a long time that puppies are conduits through which spiritual love flows unimpeded by any suggestion of judgment. Leave the puppy alone for a minute or a day, it will greet you with equal enthusiasm when you return. Just like spirit. We too are conduits for spiritual love. We too can allow love to flow through us unencumbered by judgment. And at first, when we are born, when we are very young, we do. Don Miguel Ruiz, writing in the 5th agreement, the follow-up to his 4 agreements book, A Practical Guide to Self-Mastery, writes, before domestication, we don't care what we are or what we look like. Our tendency is to explore, to express our creativity, to seek pleasure, and avoid pain. You see, there's nothing in our DNA to stop pure spiritual love from flowing through our thoughts or actions. Spirit is love, and spirit is infinite. It follows, and this is why science is in the name of our teaching, it follows that love too is infinite. So in our natural state, only love exists. But we do become domesticated, don't we? The rock group Pink Floyd expresses it best in their 1979 album, The Wall. We don't need no education. We don't need no thought control, no dark sarcasm in the classroom. Teachers, leave them kids alone. Hey, teachers, leave them kids alone. All in all, it's just another brick in the wall. Now, I would love to entertain you here with the terrific guitar riff that accompanies these lyrics, but alas, my early musical education involved an accordion, and it's just not as impressive. What is impressive, though, is how easily we become contaminated with the litany of false beliefs heaped upon us by well-meaning loved ones and guardians. Hey, teachers, leave them kids alone. We are served up a menu of expectations and shown a million routes to failure. All in all, it's just another brick in the wall. Some lucky few learn along the way that failure is an acceptable option. Failure is spirit letting us know we are out of alignment. Spirit is not judging our failures because those failures are just another expression of spiritual love. Letting us know we are out of alignment gives us the opportunity to realign ourselves. The freedom of choice we acquired when partaking of that fateful fruit of knowledge allows us to reject realignment, and spirit is okay with that too. Patrick Geddes, a Scottish biologist and sociologist, writes that some people have strange ideas that they live by money. They think energy is generated by the circulation of coins, whereas the world is mainly a vast leaf colony growing on and forming a leafy soil, not a mere mineral mass. And we live not by the jingling of our coins, but by the fullness of our harvest. Isn't it strange that the goal of our governments is to create and sustain a strong economy, often ignoring the needs of the people for the sake of numbers whose value is fully fictional? You know, there was a time in human development when our biggest worry was where our next meal would come from. And for too many in our world today, nothing has changed. Every other living thing that has existed on this planet has done so without money. Puppies do not know the value of money. In fact, mine chewed up my debit card and showed it to me with such pride of accomplishment, I could not even be upset about it. Now, my childhood was not as bleak as Tiny Tim's and A Christmas Carol by Dickens, but I, like many of you, shared the experience of love on a budget growing up. And regardless of the number in the bank book, as in the Cratchit household, there was never a shortfall of love. This artificial thing, this accumulation of wealth, has become a substitute for love in the minds of many. Don Miguel writes again, we are searching for love because we've learned to believe that love is somewhere outside of us. Well, we know as spiritual mind students that love is an inside job. Spirit is within, spirit is throughout. Ergo, love is within and love is throughout. It's that science thing again. Puppies are not searching for love, they are love and exist only to share it, to direct it into our lives without judgment, without limit, and without hesitation. We have been taught by our well-meaning common consciousness that Love is elusive, discriminating, and even sometimes not meant for everyone. Hey, teachers, leave them kids alone. All in all, it's just another brick in the wall. We collect these bricks one by one, building a wall that isolates us from our true nature, that unity with spirit, our unity with love. We accept the lies spoon fed us because we are taught that this is what love looks like. We are taught we will be loved when we are better than everyone else, prettier, smarter, richer. Don Miguel writes again, you don't need to compete with anybody. You don't need to compare yourself with anybody. You just need to be what you are, to be love. Be but real love, not the kind of love that possesses you and makes you believe in love, not the love that makes you become jealous and possessive of others and puts you directly in hell with all the tortures and punishments of hell, not the love that makes you sacrifice in the name of love or makes you hurt yourself and hurt others in the name of love, or might I suggest, in the name of God. The symbol of love has become so distorted, our understanding of God, if you will. Real love is what you were born with. Real love is what you are. And I'll add, real love is what a puppy demonstrates, whether you come home from work at 6 in the evening or 4 o'clock in the morning. Real love, spiritual love, is unconditional and unlimited. Contrary to popular belief, love is not drama. Spiritual love is our natural state of being. It is how we enter the world. Writing in the Science of Mind textbook, Ernest Holmes says this, but the great love of the universe must be one with the great law of its own being, and we approach love through the law. This is the teaching, love and law, as the love of God is perfect. So the law of God is also perfect, and we must understand both. And he's introducing here the concept that though spirit is love and spirit is all this perfection, beauty, and joy that we understand it to be, there is also a mechanism by which we interact with it. And he's introducing the concept here that now we've got to understand how that works, how we are not just thrown hither and thither by the whims of some power that we have no control over. No, in fact, we have extreme control over how this power interacts with us. And that's what the Science of Mind teaching is so much about. And again, the science of mind, knowing about love, knowing what spirit is, forms the foundation for understanding. And for most of us, a fair amount of unlearning must be exercised to allow the light of truth to shine through. We must deconstruct our wall. Hey, teachers, leave them kids alone. Now, ironically, we employ teachers to help us in that deconstruction. You see, spirit is always functioning within us, whether we recognize or understand it is irrelevant. It's there. Why? It's infinite. Remember, always there throughout everything, whether we accept it or not, it's working. It's like sun and sunshine. It's always shining. Our planet may have its back to it for a while, about half the day, but it's still shining, and on the other side, it's bright and sunny. The law is always active. Spirit is always hearing what we believe and acting on that because it has no choice. The light of Spirit is always shining. We feel its warmth radiating through our wall, even though we cannot see it. So it starts with a feeling that something just isn't right. Being curious, we ignorantly employ the tools of Spirit by silently telling the universe we are ready for a teacher to show us the way. The law of Spirit responds, and we know it must because it has no choice but to, and a teacher appears. Now, that teacher may come in the form of a long forgotten friend, may show up in a song, or if we're really stubborn about it, that teacher may show up as a car-crushing tree on the side of the road. What is it they say? Anything that doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Well, whatever it is, however the teacher appears, however the crack in our wall begins, our minds open to accept what to us are new ideas. They're not new ideas, of course. They've been in the universe forever, Spirit being the container of all thoughts, ideas, long before we recognize them. But we begin to recognize what alignment feels like and what misalignment feels like too. More teachers begin to appear because we begin to recognize them. We find ourselves seeing truth all around us. We see it in the books we read, the movies we watch, the songs we listen to, and even become selective in what we accept as authority. Our new teachers guide us to explore within and see the beauty that has always been there. The bricks fall away, at first one by one, then a steady cascade of bricks until only the memory of a wall remains. We learn that through our unity with Spirit and our freedom of choice, we can direct our own experiences and reimagine our story. We acquire tools to build our relationship with Spirit through our teachers, and we incorporate them into our daily lives so thoroughly, it becomes our very nature to experience our inner puppy, seeing only love in every dog of an experience we encounter. In closing today, I want to share a few choice remarks I stumbled across from the great 20th century philosopher Groucho Marx, who said, "Blessed are the cracked, for they shall let in the light." He is reminding us here that those who follow blindly may as well have their eyes shut, for they will never see anything new, experience anything not already defined, or discover what may be lying at their feet. Only those willing to leave the boundaries of our self-imposed prisons will ever be able to blossom and grow, and only those willing to blossom and grow can be the pathfinders, able to lead the rest of us out of complacency. Spirit demands pathfinders because by itself it can produce nothing. So blessed are the cracked, for it is they who provide the chaos out of which all growth occurs. Groucho also cautioned, be open-minded, but not so open-minded that your brains fall out. Listen to all points of view, even those you don't agree with, but don't let yourself be deluded and dragged into mindless, blind obedience to those who claim to be the only source of truth. Spirit does not judge, but it does discriminate. Spirit will poison you if you tell it to, but it's still poison and will result in misalignment. And finally, this from Groucho Marx. If you're not having fun, you're doing something wrong. So go find a dog park near you and watch the puppies play. Note how loving, fearless, and indiscriminating they are. And if you should happen to run into Tawney W, I think I'll just let that memory be. Thank you for your attention this morning. Happy.
Thank you.
Reverend Glenn, you spoke about spirit not judging, but it discriminates. Now, in our system of government, discrimination is a no-no. So, how do you impart this discrimination of spirit while our system of government does not support discrimination?
Well, thank you for asking that question, because when I wrote that, I said I am loading a shotgun and it's got to go off before the end of the act. So let's dive into that. I'm using discrimination here in the sense that we can do things and spirit will do things for us that will leave us out of alignment. Because with our freedom of choice, we have decided to do something, there's no nice way to say it, that's stupid. But spirit will just say, okay, that's your belief. I will support that. It still leaves us out of alignment. And spirit can't do anything about it. So I'm kind of bending the definition there a little bit, and I knew it was going to be a loaded term, but it did need to be discussed, and thank you so much for bringing it up. It's just that, yeah, spirit lets us do stupid stuff. It lets us believe things that just aren't in alignment with the spiritual principles of love, beauty, joy, and all the things we know it to actually be. And it just goes, all right, if you really want to go down that path, I'll build it for you. I'll leave it wide open. It's your experience to have. And then we wonder why we're in hell.
So in other words, there are distinct meanings, like some words have two distinct meanings. So this is
and I'm perfectly open to people having a problem with it. It was just one of those things that every once in a while you throw something in there to see what it does. Like I said, you load that shotgun and put it up on the wall. It has got to go off. So thank you for pulling the trigger.
Yeah, I get that. So discriminate can mean, okay, so in the political sense or societal sense, it means being against that thing or those people. But
and we discriminate. We discriminate in our choices. I mean, we have an opportunity to go left or go right or up or down. And we make a choice. We discriminate. We say one action is better than another for us. And if we didn't discriminate in that way, we'd be in a mell of a mess. I mean, we would just be all over the place, wouldn't we? We
Yeah.
have to have some sort of North Star that we're steering toward. We may have a fairly crooked path getting there, but
Yes.
we have to discriminate in our choices from time to time. We have to choose between
Right.
a good path and a better path, or a good path and a path that is totally destructive. And
Yeah. So
we
in
can do
other
that.
words, whatever we decide that we want to do or want to engage in, so
Mhm.
spirit supports us in that.
Yeah, you know, it's
Regardless,
like
as you say, how stupid it might be, we get support
we
for that.
we have that friend from long ago, or that family member who's struggling with some sort of an addiction problem. You know, we can still love them even though we choose not to indulge their particular problem,
Hmm.
other than simply to support them and love them and hope that there's a path out of it for them, because we know it's not good for them. And you know, we discriminate in our choices and our actions and say, eventually, I know, because spirit works through me, that I know that so and so will see a brick fall out of their wall and see a glimmer of light come through that allows them to redirect their energy to, and
Hmm.
begin to understand how their life can be more spiritually aligned.
Yeah. Yeah, your hand is went up again, Mr.
Okay.
Steve.
The next point that stimulates a lot of discussion is all thoughts exist in spirit. So there are like no new thoughts per se.
Yeah.
And then it's struggling when someone sees someone does something outside of what is considered the norm, and that thought already existed in spirit. So that's where the the problem lies, you know, or the disconnect lies with people listening to the science of mind. Say someone gets up and decide to commit what is considered a crime, you know, and that thought already existed in spirit, you know, uh, but from the point of view, we are taught to look for the good that is coming out of the situation. So, could you expand on all thought exists?
Well, yeah, and this is something that you'll develop a good, better understanding for as you become more and more immersed in the teaching, and it becomes more and more second nature, because, and you question it, you know, it's like, does it make sense? It's hard to make sense, but go back to the point, the word infinite. Spirit is infinite. Very simple word, very simple term. But what's that mean? It means it's been around forever. Not just a million years, not just a billion years, not just while this universe we understand has been in existence, but forever and ever. We don't know how many universes spirit has seen come and go, each lasting billions and billions and billions of years. So infinite. If it's infinite, then everything that exists, ever has existed, or ever will exist in our experience already exists, because it's infinite. It's a small word with a huge, huge implication. And
Yeah.
the rest is kind of explained simply by the fact that in our very short existence, even as a universe is this, we're like that. You know?
Blip.
Yeah, and spirit is, you know, off the screen. I can't even do that. You know, we got this freedom of choice thing. And that whole freedom of choice thing is just so that we can continue to have revealed to us all these wild and crazy ideas like fire hot, fire good, fire bad, depends on how you use it. Atomic energy can be wonderful, or it can wipe us out. We get to choose.
Yes. So
name any subject. There's more than two sides to almost every argument, and there's all that middle ground. So it's really wrapping our head around something that is so huge as infinite, when our existence isn't even a firecracker pop in its experience.
Yeah.
I mean, spirit treats us all equally, and we do have our individual experiences, but I can't imagine the bookkeeping system spirit would have to really recognize us all as individuals and really care one hoot one way or the other, whether we're having a good day or a bad day. That's why it's up to us to understand how this thing works and to say, okay, I crashed my car into that tree. Maybe there's something in my life I need to adjust. Maybe I shouldn't have had that 17th shot of tequila before I got in the car and took off down the mountain road.
Yeah.
Maybe there is something in what's going on in my life that I need to look at from a different perspective. Maybe I need to go talk to somebody.
Yeah.
That's the good.
We don't go there though. We don't go there when there's an accident or something.
That's
that
usually
we
not our
consider
first reaction.
No. We're thinking that tree should not have been there.
There's
Or
that.
that other vehicle should not have been in our way, so we could have a clear path and not crash into it.
Some people can have the teacher walk right up to them, shake their hand, kiss them on the mouth, and say, "Hi, I'm your teacher for the day," and we just
No,
denial.
no, because we're seeing it as something wrong, something bad, something that should not have occurred. So
I mean,
we're not
there
seeing
are
that as a
horrible
teacher.
events. There are horrible events going on in our world right now that we wish we could stop,
Yes.
and they will end eventually, and something better will come from it. Can't yet begin to imagine how that's going to appear, but certainly it's got to be better than what's happening right now. And it may not look like what we want it to look like. And I think my next talk is going to be on this, that, we pray for peace all the time. Ain't nothing peaceful about spirit. Spirit is in chaos all the time. There's your tagline, your lead in for my next talk, is that
I'm looking forward to that.
There is nothing peaceful about spirit at all.
I'm looking
There's
forward to that.
always something going on, right?
Absolutely. Think of the ancient sailors becalmed at sea. Were they happy in their peaceful existence? I guarantee you not. They wanted to get moving. They had freight to deliver. They had money to collect. They didn't want to sit out there in the ocean with their supplies running out.
No.
They needed some agitation in the atmosphere to get things going.
I certainly will be in the front pew to listen to that talk.
I'll tell you the truth. When I wrote Puppy Love, I was actually making notes for the next talk already.
At the same time,
I can't work it in. I can't work it into Puppy Love. It's going to have to be a separate talk. So it's actually at the bottom of the page.
Okay.
Oh Lord, yes. So I'm glad you expounded on that idea, Reverend Glenn, that we've been here for billions of years. Reverend Alma always say we're 19 billion years, 16 billion years. And because I grew up in the traditional setting, where we heard that, oh, we've been around, we're only here for 2,000 years. So that kind of was fixed in my head, 2,000 years. So when I start hearing about millions of years and billions of years in existence, it took me a while, and still taking me a while to really wrap my head around the idea that I've been in existence for billions of years in this whole scheme of things, you know?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, the scientists say we can, well, they can't really pinpoint, but they suggest the theory of the Big Bang for our universe. And I always say, yeah, so we started out from this little pea-sized mass that was so dense. So tell me, how many of those peas are out there? And what was there on the other side? Because some say our universe is collapsing, which means, okay, so we're going to collapse back into a pea. And then what? We pop out again on the other
Again,
side,
on the other
somewhere else,
side.
and we do this all over again. Well, how many times has that happened?
As much as we want.
Yeah, there's no physical evidence, because I tell you, that fire burns hot. It destroys everything. It starts new.
Mm.
It is literally Armageddon. It is literally evaporate everything that exists and
Mm.
start new, and let's see what happens
Again.
this time.
All right.
As always, Glenn Stocking, you always make me chuckle.
I hope so.
I mean, this is a wonderful discussion you guys are involved in. And recently you just talked about, how old are we? As a idea in the mind of God.
Right.
Hmm.
Wow.
Now, this is a new book that I don't know when it was published, 2003 or so, but it's by Bill Bryson, and it's a national bestseller, and it says A Short History of Nearly Everything. And he goes into deep, deep science of how this whole shebang got started. And the weight of the book is 3 pounds. So it's like the old telephone directories in the old days. Very, very scientific. So if you really want to know the answer, I would suggest you get this book, The Short History of Nearly Everything. So
That's the title. That's the title.
The Short
The Short History.
A Short History
Oh, A Short History.
of Nearly Everything.
Nearly. No.
Well,
Not
science is always discovering new things.
yeah.
The telescopes are revealing that every so often, every month or so, they're coming out with all these telescopic reveals
Yeah.
of how far back we go in history. So I also want to comment on a few things that I wanted to point out that Glenn Stocking already mentioned, but I like to test the Holy Spirit's presence by how I feel. If I'm feeling peaceful, if I'm feeling like sometimes a puppy because I giggle a lot, and I'm out there expressing myself a lot. In other words, I'm feeling good about who I am, okay? Then I know that I've connected with my Holy Spirit first thing in the morning. If I'm sad, depressed, or, out of sorts, judging how I'm feeling, then I know I've got to get into support for the way I am at that present time. And that could mean some of the support figures in my life, like Science of Mind, Course in Miracles, Bill Wilson's group. So the support is there, but we have to have it on an ongoing basis, I believe,
Right.
for our growth, because the Spirit and our relationship to the Spirit is growing every single day. The identity is expanding and expanding of our own power, which we're not really in touch with. The power of love has never been fully demonstrated on this earth. It has in many occasions, but we still have a lot further, as Glenn said, we have a lot further to go because we're still lacking full expression of who we truly are. So I just wanted to share those few little things and appreciate you guys for talking this morning. Thank you.
Appreciate
Thanks,
you.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate you. I certainly check out that book, Joan.
Yes, we understand today that the universe has been in existence forever, and yet, and the book, you know, as is understood, the book of all books, the Bible, it says world without end.
Without end.
And then at the same time, there are some of us who are looking for the end to come when we are assured that this is an eternity. This is a world without end. This is infinity. We move on and the cycle continues. So how do you, what's your take from that standpoint, Reverend Glenn?
Yeah.
Well, that's why I don't use that book for most of my teaching. It has some extremely good concept within it. It certainly made an effort to catch what we teach and share what we teach, especially the newer portion of it with the teacher Jesus and the things that he said. But there's also a lot of contradiction within it, because even though all the words were delivered by some spiritual power, they were filtered through the fingers of humans. And some of those humans were a little more contaminated than others. You know, so there was a time when it was felt that slavery was a good thing. And, you know, maybe in some economic situation it worked out that way. Doesn't seem to be popular in our modern society for all the reasons we all know, because we have electric motors now, we have internal combustion engines, we have different sources of power that can do the work that humans used to do.
Right.
We don't need to strap 1,000 slaves together to pull a rock up a hill.
The hill.
When we can put one extremely well-paid person in a bulldozer and do the same thing in much less time and not hurt anybody.
Yes.
You know, so our technology has allowed us to evolve our thinking and move closer to our spiritual nature, which is do no harm and have a good time, as Groucho Marx said. Have some fun along the way. Not suppress other people to get the job done. You know, the pyramid is a wonderful construction, but its cost is horrific. And I'm talking its spiritual cost is horrific. But other people would say, well, yeah, but those thousands of people that built it were well fed. They had a place to live. They weren't killed outright. Their lives were cheap. A lot of them died. I'm not
right. A lot of them died during the.
A lot of them died, but you kind of got to wonder, what did they do after the work was done? You know, that's why those projects went on for decades. It was job security. But yeah, you know, a good labor union might have been much more successful in moving us forward spiritually than beating people to death if they didn't get their quota done.
Yeah. Yes. So yeah. So I'm glad that the Bible does exist, because it does have a lot of learning tools in there. However, it was written in a certain time and a certain place for a certain set of people. And
Yeah.
of course, it's widespread. It's around the world. I think it's a bestseller even up to now.
I remember one of my teachers making the parallels between the story of Moses and the story of Jesus, how basically they were trying to tell us the same things, but they were couched in different terms because they were talking to different audiences in different times.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
And we've reimagined it now to meet our technical ability, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And look, we can reach thousands and thousands and thousands, millions of people without leaving the corner of my bedroom from which I'm
Yeah.
transmitting this morning. You know,
Right. Yeah.
and we're only limited by the number of people willing to tune in and listen.
And listen. Yep. Here we go. Let's move along. Like there was a time when we all thought the world was flat.
Yep.
Right? And now
Thank God all those people fell off the edge.
you know, Joan is right. You always get a chuckle.
You know, it's hard doing comedy when you can't hear your audience.
Oh Lord. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Reverend Glenn, we could continue to pick at this for the rest of the day.
We probably could, but we've got to get on to football.
We gotta get on to the next segment. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone who participated. It was brilliant. Absolutely. A deep dive today into a well thought out topic.